There's lots of interviews being done right now on Zoom, so we thought it might be a good idea to just do a very quick video to help you think about how you could be interviewed on Zoom to make certain that they are meeting you as much as they would if they were meeting you in person. So a few things to consider. First thing I'd just make notice of is I wear a headset. There are other options of earphones and microphone and so on. What's good about this is it means that there's much less background noise, much less interference. Of course, I look a bit ridiculous, so there is a bit of a way up then, but I would recommend that it's much better for their experience of you if you've got some kind of headset going on. Other things, the camera. Where's the camera on your system? Make sure that you know. And what you want is to make sure that the camera is kind of at eye level, so that we've been at those meetings on Zoom, I'm sure all of us, where you're looking up someone's nose or at the top of their head. But if you can make sure it's on eye level, whether that means using piles of books, doesn't matter, but you've got a way of doing that. For some people, standing up's the right thing for them. So if that's you, then make sure that your system is at a level where you can be standing, and then you can move around, you can feel comfortable, you can feel confident if that's better for you. Notice that I'm looking at the camera at the moment, and so it might feel like I'm looking more directly at you. This is what happens when I look at my face on the screen. So although right now I can see myself, I could see interviewers if that's what I was doing, it doesn't feel that connected to you. So just have a bit of a practice perhaps about looking at the camera. The great thing about being interviewed on Zoom is that if you've got a panel, you don't need to worry about who do I answer to, who do I respond to, because actually you just respond to the camera each time. Other things to consider, backgrounds. People get very tied up about backgrounds. There's a huge amount of stuff which has been written about it. I'd recommend that you just are a bit aware of what your background is. I know that I'm in my office in the garden, which I decorated with my children, and this says I'm probably not that much of a formal sort of person. And I'm fine with that. I'm really comfortable with that. So just take a look at what is behind you and what that might say, and check in with yourself if you're okay with that. Some people might put up a screen, so a green screen, perhaps to hide some of the rubbish behind, or people use Zoom, the functionality which means that you can put a different background behind you. I'd just be a bit careful of that. Sometimes I've seen it used to over describe things. We've seen it with politicians, right, with serious looking tomes and volumes behind them to say, look, I'm a really serious person. You know, this interview business, whether it's in person or in Zoom, is about them seeing you. So just be aware that it says something, but don't try and over describe yourself if it's not true. There's got to be some integrity here. Other things to notice, our internet connection sometimes does go down. Have another way of connecting. So I always have my phone to hand, which means that I can tether to the mobile signal if my internet connection goes down. It's just worth having some options. And you can notice that out loud. So if there's buffering, if it's pixelating or something like that, then I'd recommend that you say that to them. It looks like there's an internet connection. It might be yours, it might be theirs, but at least you are not trying to pretend it's all working when it's not. So have another option, and actually, having your phone available, for example, if you need to connect to Zoom that way, is another way of doing it. It's not quite as the functionality is not quite as good as if you're using a laptop, a computer, or an iPad or something like that, but it's still possible to do it that way. I think the key thing about being interviewed on Zoom is to recognize that it's still a way of getting data across. So don't feel like this is not as good or a bit rubbish, but what do you need to do in order to make sure that they meet you? Great thing about Zoom is you can have all sorts of notes and things around you so that you have some prompts for the things that you want to say. Not too many, because then that gets confusing for you, but at least it means that you've got some support around you. You could have a favorite picture or something to keep you focused. So this is just a method of getting data across. Have a think about what you need to do in order to make sure they're really meeting you.